My name's Cephalopod, welcome to another video. I'm not going to waste your time, let's just get into it. Here's why you should not keep Dark Bulb Acolyte in your mulligan unless you have Roadmaker. And the underlying principle here. What am I talking about? Value, appreciation and depreciation in Legends of Runeterra. Over the course of a game, your cards are going to get more or less value depending on like what turn it is, and this is going to depend on matchup, but the simplified version is something like a deny is going to sit in your hand. It's going to rot for a while. If you keep it right of negation in your mulligan, you're not going to be able to use it until like turn 6, 7, 8. But it's going to be very good at that point in the game. Contrast that with a Precious Pet. It's going to be the exact opposite. If you have it in turn 1, turn 2, you're feeling good, and if you have it in the late game, it's really bad. Like, it's not doing nothing, certainly. Like, it's a blocker, I guess, but it's doing very little, and you're not going to want to top deck it later on. And for that reason, you're going to want to keep Precious Pet, and you're going to want to mull away right negation, find it later on into the match. So we can kind of apply this concept to deck building. Ari Bard is a deck that doesn't really have like a win con. There's no like high cost cards in this deck, and you wonder like, why is this card not why can we get away with not running Sun, and why can we play this deck? Well, it really isn't about the mana cost. It's about how much value the cards offer. Like something like a recall only costs 1 mana, but realistically it costs like maybe you're recalling an Ari to save her, and that's really going to be a 3 mana investment. It's realistically going to be like every single one of these recall spells is going to be costing you more, just because Homecoming will allow you to replay stuff. Let's say Homecoming a Droplet draws you a card. That's another card you get to play. It's a lot of value over time, and it really doesn't, like, the amount of value that a card offers you isn't really the same as the mana cost. Something like a Pharaoh's Financier is a great example of that. So let's apply this to Darkness. What are we doing here? Dark Bulb Acolyte, Stilted Roadmaker. One of these is a great keep and one of them is really not, and I see the people mix this up way too much. So this is what this video is about. So Roadmaker versus Darkness. Talk about the Dark Bulb Acolyte first. This thing is your third best 2-drop, right? It's if you let's say you have all 3 of these in your mulligan, you have a choice of what to play on turn 2. You're probably going to play the Catalyzer. You have a choice of what to play on turn 3. You're probably going to go for the Conchologist. Play the stronger early units in the early game, right? And the difference here is that the Dark Bulb Acolyte is your third best 2-drop, but it's also the only 2-drop that scales decently into the game. As you boost your Darkness with your Catalyzer, with your Vagar, with your Roadmaker, the Dark Bulb Acolyte's value is going to appreciate throughout the game, and it's really not a bad late game pickup. Like, you top deck this on turn 9, you're actually feeling pretty good about your situation. Whereas compare that to Roadmaker, top deck Roadmaker on turn 9, you're actually depressed. This card doesn't do anything, right? So a Roadmaker is actually much better in the early game, and its value is going to get much worse over the course of the game. Whereas an Dark Bulb Acolyte is like fine in the early game, but it gets better over the course of the match. Okay, let's talk more about the Roadmaker specifically. Roadmaker really is a core part of your game plan because it has to precede your other Darkness generators. Something like a Senna or even the Dark Bulb Acolyte get a lot better if you've already played a Roadmaker. So having a Roadmaker on turn 4 not only is just like great stats on that turn, you're going to get some good blocks against their 2-1s, against their 3-drops even a lot of the time. But the main idea is this card gets way worse over the course of the game. So if your card is going to get worse as the game goes on, you want to keep it in your mulligan. If your card is going to get better as the game goes on, probably kick it away. What you really want to do is saturate your deck with the units that are going to, and with the units and spells that are going to get better as the game goes on. Because if your deck is really loaded with great, like, cards you would rather have in the late game, you're going to find yourself in a lot of better situations. Because if you keep cards that are bad in the late game, you're less likely to be in a situation where you're like, top decking a 1-drop on turn 8 or something. It's just these disastrous situations. So that's the idea. Quick video. Join the Discord. 200 players already in there, hungry to climb. Get in there yourself.